Skal spinning. Look at the job to create space. Put it in the book and send that young man to the line. Boy, is he fun to watch. 3:51. Tony Allen slapped away by Cauley-Stein. To the floor he does. What an effort! Collison, the lob. Oh, beautiful basketball by the King. Richardson changing directions and getting to the basket and scoring. How about the rookie Malachi Richardson?
You're now listening to the King's Court on Dash Radio, presented by SacKingsNation.com. Here are your hosts, Vince Miracle and Joe Morgan.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the King's Court here on Dash Radio. I'm your host, Vince Miracle. Joining me, as always, is the one and only Joe Morgan. Joe, what's going on?
Oh, man, another good week coaching two little kid baseball teams. Got my daughter's birthday. It's just been a wild week. Haven't really looked up. Now with the rain coming in next week, I might actually get a few nights where I can, do things. But yeah, no, good times. It's fun to herd all these cats and play baseball with them.
Yeah, it's fine. We're finally back. We went on a little 2-week hiatus. We had some family issues and things like that, and so unfortunately we weren't able to do the show. But we are back. We're back in a big way. Just a couple announcements here at the top of the show. Shout out to Kane Pittman. I think I talked about him on the last show before this ended, but he is our official new writer here on SacKingsNation.com. He'll be doing one column every single week, and as well as covering one game every week until going into next season, where he starts ramping up a little bit more with Kings information, articles, and stuff like that we're going to be bringing to you. So go follow him, Kane Pittman, on Twitter. Just look it up. He's the only one that actually pops up. I think it's like MKE Bucks. I can look up his Twitter handle at the end of the show. I'll probably remember, tell you guys to give him a follow. And then also our Sac Kings Nation City logo sweaters are coming in next week. So you guys can start pre-ordering right now. Just email shirt order within the subject line and email that to sknarticles@gmail.com. Whether you want a crew neck sweater or a black t-shirt, we have either or. Our sizes are from medium to extra large, so go ahead and put all that information down in the body of the email, and then we'll email you back with what we actually have. If you're, it's first come first serve on these things, and the prices will be on our Twitter handle, so you can just go to at SKN Articles, at VM Center, or at Sac Sports Morgan to get any of those questions answered on the pricing, or of course follow us on Facebook. So Kane Pittman, new writer, new shirts are in, shirts and sweaters are in for this upcoming cold weather, and we're back. I think that's all the announcements I have, Joe. Do you have any announcements?
So, huh? You think you got enough of them in there?
I had to fit it in the first 2 minutes. I can't just fit it in randomly anywhere else. Also, give a shout out to our sponsor, BrickHouseIndustries.com. Everyone go to BrickHouseIndustries.com. Check out all of their apparel from hats, shirts, and socks. And when checking out, be sure to use promo code KingsCourt, and you'll get a 10% discount on any of your purchases, just in case I forget to do that later on in the show as well. You guys already heard Fan Cave DFS at the top of the show, and you guys probably hear it during the commercial break as well. So yeah, Joe, those are all my announcements. What about you? Do you have any, or should we just hop right into the show?
No, man, I got nothing to add. Let's just go ahead and get kicked off and talk some Sacramento Kings basketball.
All right, well, let's talk about something that happened in a big way, and that's Skal Labissiere coming onto the scene over these last few games. Unfortunately, he got injured, but Joe, before the injury, before missing Sunday's game, this guy just basically I wrote an article for our site, Sac Kings Nation, about can Skal salvage this season, because I feel like we've seen him kind of be up and down a little bit. The opportunity's been there, but I don't think he's fully taken advantage of the opportunities that he's had. And at times, the injuries were there. The shoulder, I believe, was a big one. But since returning from the injury, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 1.8 assists, and get this, Joe, 1.4 blocks per game. He's also shooting 47.6% from the field and 37.5% from three-point range, and he's at least taking 1 3-pointer a game. So while he's not taking a lot, he's at least knocking them down when he is taking it. Joe, you've seen Skal play now for the past, I'd say, 10 days or so, about 8 games. What were your thoughts before the injury? Again.
Well, before the injury, obviously that walk-off was nice. He's been playing a lot better. I don't care what a lot of the stuff doesn't look good because the whole team isn't looking good. But when you watch him individually, I mean, he's moved forward. A lot of these guys have, but it's not clicking as a unit yet. So how's he doing individually? Good. How's he doing as a part of the squad? Not so good. I guess that's my answer.
Yeah, I think the 4 games leading up to the game where he got injured against Orlando, you look at those and you just have to just be in awe, or at least just it reminds you of the silver lining you had at the end of last season, right? When this last season, Skal Labissiere was that silver lining. The future was there. Everyone was hoping this guy would be a starter to start this season. He unfortunately wasn't that because Zebo was here. I'm not putting any blame on Zebo at all, but looking at these numbers here, Joe, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block against Brooklyn. He goes the next night against a tough Utah team, and with Rudy Gobert as the center, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Then the 12. This is the Portland stats: 12 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks on that Rudy Gobert Utah team against New York. 14 points, 6 rebounds, 3 blocks. I mean, this guy was on fire. Another 14.4 rebound night with 2 blocks. He's showing it defensively, and you and I talked to Joe leading up to that week, right before he was coming back, when we knew he was about to come back. I said it's crazy to me that Synergy has it that Skal Labissiere was the team's best defender. Remember when we talked about this?
Yeah, absolutely crazy because it doesn't pass. Like just watching with your eyes and not looking at any stats, I would not have guessed that. Put it that way.
Right, because it was right before the injury, and I remember talking about how Skal looked like he's taking a step down defensively. We had Jason Ross on, James Ham on. We're like, these are the things that I've seen where I'm like, I don't really know what the future is for Skal Labissiere, and he was turning his back to the baskets where he couldn't see his help, so he couldn't help on the weak side or strong side, and that was a big issue for me. But I'm like, Synergy saying he's their best defender, then he comes back, he's averaging 1.5 blocks per game, and I was like, wow, that's ridiculous. I mean, this guy has really taken a step forward over these past 8 games. It's unfortunately he has that hip injury. I mean, I can see that lingering on in today's game. I don't think he's going to be able to get that hip injury. Just miss Sunday's game. Hopefully he does, but then traveling as well. OKC is a tough matchup for him. I don't know how much they're going to push it for him to come back. Hopefully he does. I believe Deon Fox and Willie Cauley-Stein both missed 2 games before they actually made a comeback, so maybe they do the same with Willie Cauley-Stein, and if that's the case, Zebo is going to be my DFS lineup, but we'll talk about that later on.
That's a whole other conversation.
Another player I want to talk about is Frank Mason III. He's getting the minutes. He's back, and we saw him in the beginning of the season. We were all excited. I'm excited again to see Frank Mason on the floor. Joe, what about you?
I love seeing Frank Mason out there, and when Fox went down the other day, he stepped up in a big way. Absolutely pulled it off. For a second-round pick to do that you feel like you hit a home run whenever you actually play like that and not be a hindrance to the team. In fact, he's good to have on the team. So it's great to see. And again, he's playing really, really good basketball.
It's crazy to me that people are already asking this question, but because I saw it on Reddit and it was a question that was starting to come up a little bit, I'm going to ask it to you. I think it's a ridiculous question, so if you don't want to answer it, Joe, that's fine. Who do you think's having the better rookie season? Frank Mason or Deon Fox?
I think
of the time that they've
the reason people are asking that. The reason people ask that is because De'Aaron was drafted so high, so he has different expectations. So who's having a better year just flatly would be De'Aaron, no question. But who's having a better year based on where they were drafted, and that would be Frank. That's just, because he's way over delivering than what people thought. But I mean, what do you expect out of a number 5 guy? Well, if he's not an all-star, then he's not overperforming. So, but he is. Fox is doing really well. So I think he's having a better season. But based on draft location, I think Frank is.
Yeah, I think if you're, I don't think there was any expectations for Frank, right? No one really knew. I mean, media-wise, like if you're covering the team and you hear the word around Frank Mason when he came to the workouts, everyone was high on him. They knew they wanted Frank Mason if he was there with that second-round pick. That was the pick. Everyone knew that. I think that's why a lot of people are bringing up this conversation, but I think it's hands down Deon Fox has been the better rookie. I mean, don't get me wrong, though. The last 2 games, while Fox was out, he was just amazing. He had 16 points, 6 assists against New Orleans, and then doesn't shoot the ball well in Orlando, but still was able to help the team get to a 6-point victory, had 7 points, 3 steals, 6 assists, and 10 rebounds from an undersized point guard, Joe. I mean, this guy, when he plays, he gives out 110% effort. He just looks smooth. He's just mastered the driving kick, especially at his size. I'll say it. I think the Kings are fun. While they're losing or whatever, I think that this Kings team is fun. I love the fact that when a game is on, I'm excited to watch it again because I like to see the development of these young players. Now, it's unfortunate at times, where you see the veterans getting those extra minutes, but I think you've seen Jaeger kind of loosen the rope a little bit, and he's letting these guys play, and I'm excited about what I've been seeing. I think Kings fans should be excited for what they're hoping to see from the future of this team because guys like Frank Mason, guys like Skal, which we're going to talk about a little bit more coming after this break, but these guys, they're showing, Willie Cauley-Stein too, Deon Fox as well, they're showing what this team's potential is, and I think you have to be in awe of what these guys can potentially start doing because they're even doing it in crunch time, Joe. They're doing it in crunch time, and it's fun to watch. But before we hit to the commercial break, just your thoughts on the team as a whole, what you've seen over the last few games. So we've been gone for 2 weeks. What have your thoughts just been on the team as a whole since the last time we've done this show? And do you feel like the same way as me? Like, do you feel like even though they're losing, well, they've won what? They've won 3 out of their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. So they're 500 over the last 6 games, which isn't bad. But
that sounds really good when you think about it. But yeah.
Well, I mean, their opponents are pretty strong too. You know what I mean? Portland, Utah.
The next
New
couple
Orleans.
opponents are going to be worse, but we'll get to that again later.
Yeah, but I mean, they're 500 over their previous 6. What'd they do, son? I unfortunately, they got destroyed by Denver today, or Sunday. When we're doing this recording, they got destroyed 130 to 104. That was not a good game. So
it was painful.
Yeah, so
it was absolutely painful to watch.
So over their last 7, they're 3-7, or they're 3-4 over their last 7. So they're not looking too hot. But again, I'll retort back to my question: how happy or how excited are you for the future of the team, even through the losses? Like, what are you saying?
Well, okay, are they losses? Again. We keep having this exact same conversation where we talk about we talk about how good the team looks, and the team doesn't look good. Nobody watching can argue that point. Nobody thinks that they look good. Do they look better than they did at the beginning of the season? Do they look better than they did 2 weeks ago? That's where the questions start coming in. And over the last 2 weeks, have they played better than they did the 2 weeks before that or the 4 weeks before that? Yeah, it comes together slowly, but it is coming together. You can see it in the way that they're moving down the court together. You can see it in their defense getting better. Again, defense, in my opinion, is 100% effort. And you see that. They're fun to watch. Like you said, they're fun to watch because they're putting out that effort every single game. But are they going to win a lot of games in the last little bit of the season? No, of course not. They didn't just wake up and eat some pill and now they're amazing. They're still a really bad basketball team, but they're a bad basketball team that's moving in the right direction and is learning and is growing together and is hopefully over the course of even next season going to learn to be a good basketball team.
We had a fan question, and I think this fan question just needs to be a segment on this show. So after this commercial break, we're going to talk about who should be a key part of this future between the two, or can it be both? But this one I believe said between the two, Skal Labissiere or Willie Cauley-Stein. We talk about that after the break.
Are you an avid DFS player? Maybe you're new to the fantasy world and you want help on the game. No matter your level, FanCaveDFS.com has all the information you need to get a leg up on the competition and start winning big money today. Become a premium member at FanCave DFS and gain exclusive access to pro charts, open forums between you and FanCave's pro writers, and so much more. Become a premium member now and let FanCaveDFS.com help make you a winner.
And we are back. Oh my goodness. Joe, I don't know what it is, but I'm just getting really good at FanDuel. Like I'm I'm not gonna lie. Like I just won $40 today. It's pretty nice.
He feels pretty cocky when he turns $1 into 40. I'll tell you what, man. When you hit a 6-digit win, start talking. We'll both feel a lot better about ourselves when we hit those 6 digits. But
anytime you bring up a 6-digit win or winning an actual tournament, I'll just always go back to that game.
Oh, I know. It's painful every time. But hey, again, we've talked about this offline, but you still use the PlayStation. We only would have gone to Miami that one time.
That's
so
true.
Whatever. I think you won better.
That's true. That's true. And if you guys don't know the story, you guys got to look it up. It's a great story. It's a great story. But this question comes from Jesus.
Gorgie Jag.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about him. We don't need to talk about him. This question came from Jesus Wenceslo. I hope I pronounced your name right. He also destroyed me.
You didn't just now, so go ahead. Try again.
Jesus Wenceslo. Hopefully I pronounced it right. Anyways, a couple things from this guy. First off, he's a big supporter of the show. I appreciate that. Thank you for listening to the show and submitting in your questions. And also, thank you for giving me a beating on the PS4 NBA 2K18. I was getting cocky. I was feeling good. I said, I'm ready to take on any challengers, right, on NBA 2K18. I'm ready. This guy messaged me and goes, I'll play you. I said, all right, that sounds good. And I knew he was going to be the Kings. I mean, it's a Kings show. I'm guessing this guy's a Kings fan. Of course, he went straight to the Kings. So I said, to only make this fair, I'll be the Phoenix Suns, Joe. I'll be the Phoenix Suns, and I'll still get this W. Yeah, that didn't happen. First off, he made a half court or a full court heave with like Jakar Sampson, and that goes in. This guy could have been glitching me, but I respect where respect is due. He got the W. It was a close game until like the third quarter. So there's that. But his question is, if and when it comes down to it, who would you rather keep, Skal Labissiere or Willie Cauley-Stein? Now the two are on two different trajectories, right? Willie Cauley-Stein was a first-round pick, looked at as potentially the starter of the future, has the starting job right now, has had it locked in basically all season. We've seen major improvement in this guy all season long, to the point now where he's almost he's not a walking double-double, but you know what you're going to get from him, and he brings that energy almost every single night. Where on the other hand, Skal, he's also a first-round pick, but he's a late first-round pick, almost fell into the second round. Kings had to get multiple picks just to decide to pick him. And again, they chose Malachi Richardson and Yorgos Papagiannis before they even landed on the decision of picking Skal Labissiere. He comes in, shows out that first year towards the end of the season. Comes in this year. Most were expecting him to take over that power forward position, starting power forward position. That didn't happen. Zebo was there. That's fine. Most hoped to see him develop, and that didn't happen either. But now we're both seeing them kind of hit their climax at this point of the season. Joe, I ask you this question first. Who would you rather have, Skal Labissiere or Willie Cauley-Stein as a part of your future?
Well, okay, and this comes down to a very simple thing. It's money math. I would keep Skal if I had to pick between the two, and I would never want to pick between the two, but if I were forced to right this second, I would pick Skal because you have him under contract for one more year with a team option, so he's going to be cheaper and longer. And if you keep Willie and he becomes amazing next year, you got to pay him the year after that. And so that'd be my only reason. I think they both have a shot at being really good, but you always go with the guy you can keep longer. That way, if he does become something amazing, you still got him. And, Skal has a $2 million team option. I think, what is it, 2.5, 2.4, something like that, team option in 1920. And Willie will be you're going to have to pay Willie if you want him to stay for 1920. So if next year this team starts getting really, really good together, then, you got to pay Willie to stay, and that's going to be rough. So if I had to pick, that's my reasoning. I think they both have a good shot at being really good basketball players, but got to go with who you can pay longer.
Yeah. So here's the thing for me. So I'm looking at their full season. So Willie Cauley-Stein was drafted in 2016, Skal in 2017. So they're a year apart. Their year per games right now, right? So Willie Cauley-Stein is at a 9.1 points. He's at 5.5 rebounds, 0.8 steals, 0.8 blocks while shooting 52.4% from the field. That's in the first 3 seasons. In his first 2 seasons, Skal Labissiere is averaging 8.6 points, 4.7 rebounds, 0.9 assists, 0.5 steals, 0.6 blocks, while shooting 49.2% from the field. The thing that gets me, though, is the per 6s, the per 36s, where you have Skal averaging 16.1, 8.8 rebounds, 1.2 blocks per game, and then Willie Cauley-Stein is at 14.6 points, 8.8 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks per game. He's the steals wise, if you guys want to know the steals, it's 1.3 steals for Willie Cauley-Stein to Skal Labissiere 0.8, and those are per 36 minutes. So looking at the two, they're almost identical players. Neither one are really that strong in rebounding. I think we realized that the Kings' big men are not good at rebounding, especially this young core. I don't think they know how to box out. That's just a big thing for me. I think they like to soar in for the rebounds, especially Skal. Going forward in the future, that's a really good question. Who would I rather have? I honestly think it comes down to how much this Kings team believes in Harry Giles and what type of player he is. Because if Harry Giles is a player that fits best next to Willie Cauley-Stein, I think Skal becomes expendable. I think, okay, he's a Skal type of player, then Willie Cauley-Stein can be our 5, right? I think Skal, or Willie, you can look at him and you can say he's a better rim protector than Skal Labissiere is, and maybe that's what you want. He has, again, I don't really know. I think this is why I think this is a really good question. I think that it's a coin flip between the two. Here's the thing for me, though, Joe, and I've told you this before, and I don't think the Kings are going to land number 1, but they have the potential to do so. And if they get that number 1 pick, I'm saying draft DeAndre Ayton. And I'm okay with the idea of moving on from Willie Cauley-Stein and potentially getting another first-round pick in this upcoming year's draft where it's pretty stacked. I think you can get a lottery pick for Willie Cauley-Stein this year, and I'm okay with going forward with DeAndre Ayton at the 5, and you can choose between Skal and Harry Giles. I think you let those two guys battle it out for that power forward position next to Ayton. That's my thought. So if I had to go with the future, if I'm going from my choices, looking at the numbers here, Joe, you said Skal as well, right? And I think I'm going to roll with you. I think I'm going to go with Skal.
And again, I almost hate these hypotheticals. It's a great question because it really does make you think. But I hate these hypotheticals because, man, oh man, you'd hate to have to make that call. And no matter which way, say you were Vlade for the day and you had to make that call, no matter which way you go, you are going to make some fans really mad. This team has been invested in by this community. And these players, they're believing in the future. And if that's the case, these fans are really going to be upset if you give away one of the pieces of the future that you think, specific fans are going to think that so-and-so is better. And, oh my God, the armchair quarterbacking would just be evil on that. So even from the conversation we just had, I bet we get some fan, I say mail, but fan hate mail.
I mean, this is how close they are, right? So this is per 100 possessions. The offensive rating is a 110 to 107 in favor of Willie Cauley-Stein. Now, defensive rating, it's a 108 to a 111 with Skal Labissiere with the 111. So, I mean, they are just they're almost interchangeable. And again, I know they do different things on the floor. I know what they do for the team is different. But numbers-wise, they're almost interchangeable. And here's the thing for me. I think you know this about me, Joe. I'm not super high on the ceiling of Willie Cauley-Stein. Like, I don't know how much higher his ceiling is. I think this could be it. I don't know if he's ever going to be that good of a rebounder, if he ever averages a double-double in rebounding. Like, I mean, coming into this year, my expectations were 14-9, 14-10. He's not even that. I don't know how close he is to that, but he's not even that right now. And the thing that really bothers me at times when looking at Willie Cauley-Stein and hearing some of the things that he says is that he wants to be the offensive focal point of this team. Like, he wants to be the one that carries the Kings offensively, when the reason why they drafted him was for his defense. And so it's crazy to me that Skal is better defensively than he is. And I guess it's not super surprising, but he's not even the Kings' best defensive player. And that's what they were hoping he would be. Now, I'm not saying that he's, atrocious defensively, not saying that he's bad for the team at all, but I'm just saying that I haven't seen him take that leap forward. He's averaging 12.6 points, 6.9 rebounds per game this season. Again, not where I expected him to be. I'm thinking Willie Cauley-Stein is expendable. I think you can package him with a certain player, whether that be, I don't know who it would be. Maybe
I hate that word that you're using because none of these kids are expendable at the moment. I think they're all, I don't know. Like I said,
Well, you have to start building for something. You have to start either you have to start understanding what your talent is. And he's 3 years in, going into his fourth year next season. What are your expectations for Willie Cauley-Stein's future? What do you want him to be? What do you expect him to be? I don't know. I think this is it. That's what I'm saying. I don't know where his ceiling is. I think his ceiling is right here. Do you disagree?
See, again, ceiling is a funny thing. He's only had 1 year where he's actually getting minutes, where he's playing every game, where he's in it.
And he's averaging 6.9 rebounds with 1 steal, 1 block per game.
I just don't see that as a ceiling. I still think he can go a little bit higher. I mean, I'm not.
But what's that little like? But even that little. Let's say he gets you to 14-9 with the 1.5 blocks and 1.5 steals. Right? That sounds good. And again, that looks nice. And he is playing better. I like Willie Cauley-Stein. But what does he give you moving forward? Now we can flip this conversation on to Skal too, but let's just focus on Willie here for a second. Let's say he gets you 14-9, 1.5. Let's go 1-1 still, right? He still gets you the 1 steal, 1 block. Is that changing much? Like, does he change the game that much? In your opinion, with that?
Man, no. I mean, I guess not. But at the same time, that's a guess as to what someone can't. I always hate these hypotheticals. I really do.
Oh no! Don't give me. Like I said, I don't want to put you in the spot where you're like, man, this guy. I don't want to say this guy sucks because that's not. I'm not. Or this guy should be moved because that's not what I'm saying either. This is just a hypothetical question that was given to us by Jesus, by a fan, by a listener, and just looking at both sides of it. Like Willie Cauley-Stein. Here's the pros, right? Fastest feet as one. Like I think he has top 5 fastest feet as a center. Josh Eberle came on the show. He said the same thing. In the pick and roll, he's one of the best because he can stick with his man because of those feet. His shot blocking has gone down. I mean, he's just not the same shot blocker he once was. Maybe from college, or maybe he just hasn't transitioned all the way to the NBA. He's just not the shot blocker that I expected him to be. That's number one. He's not a good rebounder. So you're really like he's not that great offensively either because he likes to stick with the mid-range jumper, which is fine. He can score a little bit. I don't know where that goes. He was 4 of 11 against Jokic, 12 points, 8 rebounds. I don't know how much higher that ceiling is. And and you look at a guy like DeAndre Ayton, he's already shooting 3-pointers at the college level. He's 7'2". He moves his feet well. He can knock down free throw. Like, this is a beast. So you have to make that decision. Like, this guy's a monster. He's been compared to guys like David Robinson. Willie Cauley-Stein was a 5th-round pick that could have potentially slid to 10, and the Kings could have drafted a guy like Miles Turner.
Yeah, again, you're going back in time, and I think coming off of an injury and getting a 12.8 rebound game against Jokic, who's having an amazing night, you can't call that a loss. I mean, I'm not saying that the kid had a great game, but it's his first day back after an injury, and you're using those stats.
He played 30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes after an injury where he's been, a little bit of rust develops, man. Let's see what he does.
He had 4 games.
Let's see what he does on Monday.
He had 4 games off. Let's see what he does against Steven Adams and even a bigger beast. And on the Skal side, here's the thing for me with Skal. Skal, it's his 2nd year. I still feel like he hasn't got the opportunity that we wanted to see, but every time he has gotten the opportunity, he's done something with it. So I still have that same feeling I had at the end of last season where I think there's hope, and I think this is why the Kings may potentially made him expendable. When we had Tony Zip Terrace on, he was talking about how him and I were both saying, I don't know if this is really a Dave Yeager type of guy, but he's showing us something. He's showing us something, and I honestly, I would move forward with Skal because of what I've seen. And he hasn't gotten the minutes that I think he's not necessarily deserved, but we wanted to see more of, and maybe we will. Unfortunately, I still don't know if he's a Dave Yeager guy, and with all those rumors that came out that he could potentially be on the trading block, maybe the Kings don't. The Kings see him as someone that's a tradable asset. And if that's the case, then yeah, move forward with Willie Cauley-Stein. That's fine. I just think there's guys like DeAndre Ayton that's potential game changer at the center position, where you have guys like Embiid, you have guys like Jokic, Kristaps Porzingis, where you kind of want that big man that can not just take up space, which it looks like Ayton can do, but can score in the low post, can score as a catch and shoot three. I really like what DeAndre Ayton can bring. And if you can match that up with a guy like Deon Fox using that as a screen and lob that up there, there's potential there. Again, this is all hypothetical. I definitely appreciate this question, but the last one here before we go into our second commercial break and then come back for Kings Week, Joe, there was another Reddit one. I don't know. It's a bunch of numbers for their username, so I'm not going to give it to them. But they asked the question of, would you trade, let's say the Kings get a top 3 pick. Would you trade a number 3 pick and potentially like Willie Cauley-Stein and Frank Mason or whatever, maybe Bogdanovich, for Kawhi Leonard to the Spurs?
Number 3 pick. I mean,
let's say it's the number 5 pick, because that's where I think the Kings are going to land. I think they're landing 5 through 7. I just feel that.
Because they always do.
That's where they land. That's the Kings pick. But you trade.
Yeah, let's write that down right now. 5. We're just picking at 5.
Let's say they pick. They do 5, Bogdanovich, 5 and Bogdanovich. Let's just go with that. I think they have to do something with contracts wise, right? But let's go 5 Bogdanovich.
First off, I don't think the Spurs would do it, but I
would think they would. You don't think they would?
Nah, I don't think so.
I mean, I don't know. I think it'd have to be top 3, but let's say it's a 3rd pick with Bogdanovich and maybe Skal for Kawhi Leonard. But again, you have to make the contracts work. I don't know what the contract numbers are, and I don't have it right in front of me, but it's the Reddit question that came in, and I think it's a good one. Like, what would you give up for Kawhi Leonard? Because there's all that rumbling, there's a line divided between the Spurs and Kawhi Leonard. He's almost on his way out. He's finally going to make his return, maybe in hopefully next week, like Thursday or something like that. But again, like, there was that divide there. No one knows where he's going to go. Could he potentially be dealt? I would offer something. Just see what they're asking for. It's Kawhi Leonard. I'd do it. Would you?
No.
No, not even for Kawhi. It's like the 3rd best player in the NBA.
I agree with you, and I think that he's a really good player, but I think shopping people around who are not going to get accepted and is going to piss off the kids that you do have.
That's true.
You start shopping people around, and they first say no, and now you got a pissed off team who isn't happy because you just tried to move them for somebody else. I don't know. I just don't like the idea.
I mean, that's true. That's true too. But you got to just keep that stuff on the down low.
A boat that you're trying to just barely get moving. This boat that the Kings are on is just finally going in a direction that they want. And you guys are talking about maybe standing up and shaking it? No, I think no. It just, no.
Well, we're gonna cut to commercial break right here, but we want to hear from you. Let us know on Twitter, on Reddit, Kings Court on Reddit, at VM Center, at Sac Sports Morgan, on Facebook, the Sac Kings Nation on Facebook. Let us know your thoughts. Who would you rather keep? If it comes down to it and you have to make a decision between Skal Labissiere and Willie Cauley-Stein, who are you going with and why? Start letting us know. Or, hey, if you're listening to the show on SacKingsNation.com, go ahead and start getting that conversation going down in the comment section below. After the break, it will be that time where we hop on the DeLorean, give the people what we want, and make our predictions. That's right. It'll be Kings Week right after the break.
Hey friends, it's Joe Borelli from the Superflight NBA podcast here. If you're looking for some NBA news that's a little off the beaten path, you might want to check out the Superflight. I have great guests from around the league to talk about all the latest NBA topics. But if you're craving some art, music, and general existential nonsense as well, I got you covered there too. Check out the Superflight podcast on iTunes or anywhere you download your podcasts. Or go to ABPN and subscribe. And thanks for tuning in. Now back to your show.
And we're back, and you already know what time it is. So guess what? I'm not even gonna say it, Joe. I'm not even gonna say it again. I'm just gonna push the button.
Give the people what they want.
Back to the future.
And here we go.
All right, we have a 4-game week this week, and that one starts today, Monday, 5 p.m. against the Oklahoma Thunder in Oklahoma. The Thunder are having a bit of an up and down season. Right now, offensively, they're a 106.9. Defensively, they rank at a 104.2, which is right like they're about top 10 in the league defensively. Offensively, they're doing all right. Was it top just outside the top 10 at a 106.9? They're an okay team, and they were a lot better when Andre Roberson was there. But at the same time, this is the Kings, and this team, they're going up against a team that has Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony. Now, I will say this. The last time they played each other, there was a fight all the way until right around the third quarter mark. Again, Joe, for me, I see this team. All I can say is it looks like it's going to be a snooze fest after the second quarter. But again, especially because it's on the road. But again, I could be wrong. They've been struggling. What are your predictions for this game?
Well, my predictions haven't changed a whole lot this year. OKC is going to smoke them. There's an 11-point difference. If you take the Kings' offensive defensive rating, the Kings are 101.4 for offense and 109.8 for defense. You throw that up against OKC, there's 11.2 point differential. Come on.
That's pretty crazy.
Can it be done? Yeah, it can be done. Of course it can be done. But it's not likely. And I think the big takeaways from this game are how our 2 point guards play. Get Fox out there, get Frank Mason out there, and see how they play. Because I think Fox against Russ will be a very interesting thing to watch. But I don't think the score is going to be the thing to watch in that game.
Already ruled out of this game is Terrence Ferguson of the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's already been ruled out of this game. So they're thin at that shooting guard spot after Corey Brewer. And let's go ahead and hop right in. The matchup of the game, Joe. For me, it's going to be Buddy Hield against Corey Brewer. Now, here's why. I like the lineup idea, especially to close out quarters and to close out games of just the young guns, where you have Fox, Hield, Bogdanovich, Skal, and Willie. Now, I don't know if Skal's going to be in this game, so this is going to be a little bit of a toss-up in the air. I would expect that he's not going to be ready because it's a hip injury, and they're not going to risk anything. So if it's Zebo, that's fine. Have Zebo there. Although I don't think that. I think it could be Vince Carter to go up against Melo. But that lineup that's there, right? The reason why I have Buddy Hield is because I see Paul George definitely guarding Bogdanovich. Just because of what Bogdanovich can do with the ball in his hands and how he can score. Bogdanovich is the Kings' best offensively polished player right now, just in ways that he can score and pass the basketball. Buddy Hield will be then guarded by Corey Brewer, where Corey Brewer is a pretty good defender, but he takes a lot of risks, especially in the steals department. I think if Buddy can compose himself, get his feet under him, he can knock down a few open shots. The Oklahoma City Thunder give up a lot of three-pointers. Not as much as the Kings, but they give up quite a bit. I think Buddy Hield can capitalize on that. I think he can have a really big game. So my matchup of the game is going to be Buddy Hield versus Corey Brewer. What about you?
I think on your matchup, you'll know in the first quarter whether or not you're right, because if Buddy is hot on three, then it's going to be a fun game to watch for him. Because like you said, Brewer does take a lot of chances and will give Buddy some open looks. If he's hitting them, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But again, I'm still going with my original thing, Russ Westbrook versus De'Aaron Fox, because De'Aaron is a fast little, man, he moves fast.
Beep, beep.
And,
that's his nickname. Beep, beep.
Beep, it's fun to watch him, but also Russell Westbrook gives up the absolute most fantasy points to other point guards. And it'll be fun to watch him that night, see if he can capitalize on that and maybe make us some money. So, that's my take on that game.
So you have Fox versus Westbrook. I have Corey Brewer versus Buddy Hield. Let's see if that ends up in any of our FanDuel plays of the night. Joe, who is your FanDuel play of the night?
Well, I really did. I already just gave mine away because, again, Russell Westbrook and, the Oklahoma City Thunder give up 62.63 points to point guards on the daily. And with that being the case, I would play De'Aaron Fox without question. Depending on the price and depending on how I feel that day, I might even have Frank Mason III in there too.
I think I'm going with Corey Brewer. I think I led that in there as well.
Well, and at his price, it's hard not to play him. I don't know how they're going to adjust him by tomorrow. I don't know.
As of right now, he's at $3,800 on.
Okay,
on
then he's almost a must play just because he's starting, and that's kind of a cheat, Vince. Anytime a guy takes over for an injured dude and he's still down in the 30s for his price and he's starting, you kind of got to plug him in there. But give me another one.
Okay. If I had to give another one, I'm gonna go with Buddy Hield. I think Buddy Hield's gonna be a good one for me, so I'm gonna go with Buddy.
What's Buddy going off at tomorrow? 5,200, right around there.
Right around there. 50. I think it's a 57 actually. 55, 57.
All right.
So, but okay. All that being said, you have Westbrook or you have Fox or Mason. I have Brewer and Hield. Joe, who do you think is going to win this game?
Well, I think OKC is going to win it. I'd almost give them like an 8-point advantage.
Let's have some more fun, right? I like what we're doing here today. So let's go to here because this game is today. Oklahoma City, as of right now, where I'm checking, I'm going to double check on two different spots just to make sure I have the right number. If not, I'll take the balance of the two, and we can make our own little thing here because we're going to agree on basically all these games. So this Kings week comes down to it for me because if I get to 10 points, I lose. And right now, I'm at 5, 6? So I know I can't lose, Joe. Yeah, it looks like the Kings are at 12-point underdogs right now. In OKC, do you take the over or would you take?
I take the under on that. Like I said, I give them back.
No. So you would take the points. You would take the 12 points.
Yeah.
I think the Kings lose by 15. I think they lose by 15-20. I think they get another blowout. It's another blowout. It's the second half.
After what happened on Sunday, there's absolutely no way that they're going to play like that. So Jaeger is probably still chewing on some people right now.
So Joe, let's do this. Because it's been a while. I mean, I lost track of the points here. We were off for 2 weeks. We came back. We had that little hiatus again in the early months. Let's do this. This is the Kings Week segment, right? So I want this to come down to something because we're gonna have a lot of this even. I will give you those 12 points. We're gonna do something on this show though. One of us has to be right, and if one of us is wrong, we have to do something. We're gonna let our fans vote on what we have to do, whatever it is. It has to be something that's related to the voice of the show, or it can be to our YouTube channel that's getting in the works right now. But I would prefer it for it to be something that's pod related, and one of us is gonna have to do something based on this, and you get the 12 points. How about that?
Yeah, certainly.
All right, fans, start voting. Let him in. What's Joe gonna have to do? Karaoke on this show? He's already had a rap once. You guys can look that up. Joe's a rapper.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I spit some bars.
Bars. We're running low on time, so let's go ahead and move on to the next game because it's a 4
like I was
game
gonna
week.
Gutter out front of a bar, but go ahead.
Bars. Next game comes on Wednesday, back at home against the Miami Heat. This game tips off at 7 p.m. This is gonna be a real game. Like I think this is the only game this week where I look at them and say they have a real chance of winning. Miami is not going to be with Dwayne Wade, I believe, on Monday when they play. So I doubt that he plays Wednesday as well. I think he's going to get treatment while he's on this road trip just to make sure that he's 100% healthy. So I wouldn't expect to see Dwayne Wade playing, but they still got guys like Josh Richardson, Tyler Johnson, Goran Dragic coming into Sacramento, and potentially Hassan Whiteside. Hassan Whiteside may also be a coin flip in the air, but their rookie Bam Adebayo has been putting in work. Looking at the offensive and defensive efficiency, as of right now, on offensive efficiency, the Miami Heat are ranked 10th in the NBA at a 104.3, and their defense matches that as well as at a 104.3. That puts them just inside the top 10 as well in defensive efficiency. So they're top 10 both offensively and defensively at a 104.3 for both offense and defense. This is going to be a very interesting game to me. I think this is going to be a coin flip game. I think this is going to be the best game of the week, and that's why I'm making it our game of the week.
We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure.
All right, Joe, it's our game of the week. So, with that said, who are you watching in this game? What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, I think Hassan Whiteside is going to be the person that I'm watching.
If he plays.
If he plays, exactly. If not, it'd be fun to watch Bam. So either way, I guess the center position will be entertaining that night. Josh Richardson could have a really good night, when he gets hot, and against a Kings team that gives up, as you said before, a whole lot of three-pointers. We could see how that turns out. Man, there's so many players on this team that I'm going to be watching. Kelly Olynyk, just because it's fun to watch power forwards go against the Sacramento Kings. Yeah, I can name 4 of the 5 positions that I'll be interested in watching. So
yeah, I think overall as a game, though, I think this is. Do you agree? Like, this can potentially be the most. I think this is their not only, I wouldn't say most challenging game, because they got the Warriors this week and the Thunder and the Utah Jazz. But I think this is a game where they're not. I don't see them being too far away now from the Miami Heat. Now, don't get me wrong, the Miami Heat are really good, both offensively and defensively. We just talked about that. They got the talent that's there, but I don't think the Kings are that far away. I think this is a true test of what they could potentially be, and that's just my thoughts. But Joe, do you agree?
Oh, I do. I think that this is the most winnable game of the week, and I think it'll be the most fun to watch. So, yeah, I agree with you. This is this is definitely the game of the week. There's no question.
So, matchup wise, though, what's your matchup of the game?
Oh, well, if I had to throw a matchup out there, and again, Hassan Whiteside going up against Willie will be interesting.
Yep.
And again, if they, if Hassan plays, if not, I would go with the power forward position. I'd watch Kelly Olynyk play up against Skal.
Yeah, and I don't think we can talk about a Heat versus Kings game without bringing up that De'Aaron Fox putback earlier in the year for the win.
Oh, that was so much fun.
That was a lot. That was a lot of fun. That was a great game. I remember the moment that it happened. You and I called each other like the same time. Both our phones were busy. Like it was, we were like, "Hey, did you just see that? It was on the road. Did you see that? That was nice." So we definitely had to talk about that. Matchup of the game for me, though, if he's healthy and he's playing, I really want to see Skal versus Kelly Olynyk. I think that's a great matchup for him. I think Kelly Olynyk is more of a three-point shooter, but the footwork isn't there. I think it's a matchup to me that Skal could take advantage of if he plays it the right way. And we already talked about it. It looks like Skal is one of the team's better defenders. So if he's healthy and playing, the matchup for me that I'm watching is Skal versus Kelly Olynyk. That's the matchup of the game. FanDuel-wise, Joe, who's your FanDuel play of the game? Let me guess. Hassan Whiteside.
No, actually, it wouldn't be. I was going to go back to Kelly Olynyk.
Okay.
Usually his price is cheap enough that he's worth playing against a team that gives up a lot of points. Hassan Whiteside would be a good play. The Kings do give up like the second most points, only behind Brooklyn to centers. And if Hassan doesn't play, you have to go with Bam Adebayo. But again, otherwise I'm gonna probably have Olynyk in at least a couple of my lineups.
I'm going to surprise you with my pick, I think, because I didn't even mention his name when we were talking about players in the beginning or anything right now. But he's going to be my play, and I think I'll have him in every single one of my lineups. And that's going to be Wayne Ellington. He just recently returned from injury. He's played the last 2 games, both against Philly and against Washington. In those 2 games, he's combined for 7 3-pointers. He had 4 3-pointers in their last outing against Washington to have 17 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal with only 1 turnover. He's getting right around 22 to 25 minutes per game. Kings give up so many 3-pointers, wide open threes at that. If you leave this guy open, he's going to knock him down. So I'm going to go with Wayne Ellington as my flyer. He's going to be right around 3,800 too, just like a Corey Brewer. He may be in that 4,000, 4,200 range max. If he's, struggles a little bit leading up to this date, he could be one of those players that I look at hard on that day. So I'm going to go with Wayne Ellington as my FanDuel play of the night. We have our FanDuel plays, Joe. We have our matchups. I got
one more for you, though, before I move on.
Okay.
You always, when they're playing, have to watch Tyler Johnson. Depending on how the injuries and stuff play out that night, it might be a great pickup.
And Fox. I love that. I love Fox against Dragic. I mean, that speed there.
That's a fun matchup.
Fox could be a good one. I love that he can push the pace and get the Heat out of their own tempo, because the Heat aren't really a fast up and down team. They can move it, but I don't really look at them as a fast up and down team. Now, Josh Richardson is another one where he can have a breakout game at any time. With the Kings giving up so many turnovers, he could be a really big player. I have a lot of Miami Heat players in this game. Kings-wise, I got Skal, I got De'Aaron Fox, and again, I got Buddy Hield. I think Buddy Hield's going to be a key for a lot of their. If the Kings are going to get wins, it's going to come down to Buddy Hield in a lot of these games, in my opinion. But with that said, I have Wayne Ellington as my main player. I think Tyler Johnson is also a great pick. But Joe, we have our FanDuel picks in. We have our matchups of the game. We know what we're looking forward to. But all said and done, who's winning this game?
The Miami Heat.
Oh man, is it that obvious?
To give you a little bit of hope there, but
Is it that obvious? I mean, the Kings.
No, again,
the Kings had the win last time. They get that slam dunk. Remember? Yeah, Fox.
Yeah, I do, and I remember it very well. But it doesn't. Emotion doesn't drive scores. If it did, we'd win every game, bro. But it's not how it works. So.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with the Miami Heat as well. I think the Heat, they lost to the Kings on their home court. I think they're gonna try and redeem that loss and get the win in Sacramento, because they're also in the middle of a playoff push. Like they're looking for playoff seeding, so this one matters to them. The Golden State Warriors, the Kings cross over the bridge and go see Golden State on Friday. That game tips off at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Will Curry play? Hopefully by that time he will be back in the lineup, because he's always fun to watch. I don't really know if there's a matchup for the game. I mean, if I had to choose, it's gonna be Fox versus Curry if he plays. If not, Bogdanovich versus KD. I mean, KD's gonna go off. And is there anyone that can stop anybody on this team? Draymond's a monster. I mean, they're the reigning champs for a reason. They're also the number 2 seed right now in the West, which is just incredible. Applaud to Houston. But I don't know how long we have to talk about this game for, Joe, because I have the Kings getting demolished in this game. What about you?
Well, it's the best team in the league versus one of the worst. So, yeah, we don't need to get too deep into it. But getting into matchups, depending on whether or not Steph is healthy and back on the court, man, if not, you almost guaranteed have to put at least one of the other two big guys in there, whether it's Durant or whether it's Draymond. Wow. I looked down for a second to look at some point stuff that I was going to talk about, and I got totally lost in my own head there. No, if it's not Durant, it has to be Draymond Green. And I would, moving on to the FanDuel stuff, just because, we already kind of know the outcome. I mean, you never know the outcome, but, we pretty much know the outcome. Yeah, it's the small forwards, and they give up 61.32 fantasy per game to small forwards. With that being said, Bogdanovich, wow, this is the FanDuel part of my brain right here, but I'm kind of hoping he has bad games for the first 2 of the week. So there's price. I'm just saying, this is the money side of me. I'm obviously as a Kings guy, I hope that he has great games, but as a FanDuel guy, hoping they drop his price a little bit and you can get him at a discount. And if that's the case, man, you got to plug him in. I don't know if I like the matchup in real life, but in fantasy terms, I absolutely love it.
Let's go ahead and so we both got the Warriors taking this win, right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's move on to the final game of the week. It is the Sacramento Kings heading to Utah to face off against the Utah Jazz. Rookie sensation Donovan Mitchell was okay. When he was here in Sacramento, he was good. He wasn't like the what I was expecting. Hopefully we'll see something a little bit better, because the Jazz are fighting right now to stay in the Western Conference playoff race. I believe right now they are 9th. I can double check that here in a minute, but this team is playing with something to play for, and they need to defeat teams. I'm going to say it like the Sacramento Kings, teams that are rebuilding, Kings that are struggling, Kings that are in a tankathon to get to the top of the lottery. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be either a runaway game or a close game. Like, this could be a coin flip, right? This could be either really good or really bad. the matchup for me though is going to be I want to see Fox on Mitchell, and I know he didn't see that a lot when he was here in SAC, but that's the matchup I want to see. If not, I want to see who's guarding Donovan Mitchell, because that's going to be a fun one for me. Also, Fox on Rubio. Fox guarding either of the two. Fox. That's my matchup.
Fox on Utah.
Yeah, Fox on Utah, guys. That's my matchup. I want to see how he does.
That's a new Dr. Seuss book by with a little bit of help from Vince Miracle. Fox on Utah.
Yep. Who's your matchup?
All right. Well, my matchup of the night will be Buddy Hield. Actually, I'm going to do the exact same thing you did, depending on who they put on him. But I want to see Buddy Hield go off in that game. Utah is horrible against shooting guards, which seems really strange because they shouldn't be horrible against anybody, but they're really just not good against shooting guards. And again, I'm using fantasy numbers here because that's where my brain lies a lot. But they give up 43.15 points to shooting guards, and a team that doesn't give up a whole lot to a whole lot of people, you got to take it where you can get it. So I'm interested to see that. And then everything else, I've been saying this a lot all year long, but I want to see how the big men do, Favors and Gobert against, whether or not it's Skal and Willie. That'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, Utah is tied for third place with the Toronto Raptors right now in defensive efficiency at a 102.6, just behind the San Antonio Spurs at a 102.5, and behind the number one rated defense in the league, the Boston Celtics, at a 101.4. Offensively, however, they're not that good. They're not bad, but they're at a 105.3, which puts them at 17th, middle of the pack in offensive efficiency. The Kings are dead last in offensive efficiency. They got a 101.1 or 101.4. So offensively, they can score a little bit, but not a lot. They're at a 105.3. But defensively is where their strong suit is. The Kings can't make mistakes against this team. That's going to be a key to this game, is just not making mistakes. Again, for me, FanDuel player-wise, I'm definitely going with Donovan Mitchell. I think I'm going to go with Rudy Gobert as well, depending on how he's been leading up to this game. But he may be a person I'm really looking at. Away from those two players, it could be a Joe Ingles type of thing. Looking at more Kings, right? I think players that you want to take interest in is a guy like Deon Fox. Is a guy, like you said, like Buddy Hield. Like also, I think Willie Cauley-Stein or Skal. I don't know which one yet, but I think one of those two could have a really big night. Last time it was Skal. He got that double-double with a couple steals and those 3 blocks. Maybe it's Willie's turn. I don't know. I don't know if either of them are going to be healthy at that time. Hopefully they are. I'm looking at those 4 players right there. Those are the 4 for me, FanDuel-wise, though. But if you're looking at from the Utah side, got to have Donovan Mitchell in there. He's my number 1.
Yeah, I don't know. Donovan has been costing so much. I might drop down to Joe Ingles, knowing that the Kings give up so many 3 balls. It'll be interesting. Donovan will have a good night, but man, he's been costing so much. He has to get you a 40 just to break even. I don't know. He's hard to play. It's really hard to play.
It also depends on how close that game is going to be, and I think Vegas will look at it too, where is it going to be close or is it going to be a breakout? Like this could be that game where I just avoid it as a whole. If I'm a betting person, I'd avoid it because I don't know what Kings team is going to show up, and I don't know what Utah team is going to show up on this night. But
I don't agree. I know exactly what Utah team is going to show up. It's definitely the Kings that I'm watching.
Yeah. So with that all being said, we have our FanDuel picks and we have our matchups of the game. I even gave a key to the game, Joe. Who do you have winning this game?
No, Utah. So the bottom line this week is the Kings are probably going to take 4 losses. They might pull off one against Miami. But out of those 4 losses, I guess the only thing that matters is me giving you, or you giving me rather, 12 points against OKC. That's really the only difference I think we have in our mind.
And I'm winning that, Joe. Look, it's second half of a back-to-back. They're on the road. They're flying from Denver, the Mile High City, all the way to Oklahoma to go up against a speed demon in Russell Westbrook, a defensive monster in Paul George, and old man game Carmelo Anthony.
Old man ball. I really hope that Vince Carter gets put in there just to see that matchup because it'll be a flashback.
Although Melo is, if you put Melo on the Kings right now, he's going to be the team's leading scorer. He's still a scoring monster. Just at times it's probably just empty buckets, like it's empty calories. It is what it is. Anyways, that is Kings Week, guys. Let us know your thoughts. Are they going 0-4 this week like Joe and I both predict? Or do you think they're going to win a game? Do you think there's a chance of them winning? Also, we need to know what you want Joe to do, or me, you want Joe to do next week when we come back, because I'm giving him 12 points for tonight's game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Giving him 12 points. Kings lose.
I still think they need to vote on what you need to do for all the losses you've taken this year.
I haven't even taken that many losses, Joe. We've had so many breaks in between the show. We need to stop having breaks. All right, we need to just have a week-to-week show.
You've been losing all year, and this is my first year beating you out of.
That's not true. We've been tying on a lot. We've been tying a lot. Like, we haven't really had many disagreements. Like, let's be honest. We've known what the Kings are going to do. Let's be honest.
I gotta agree. We did kind of know what this year was going to look like, and
exactly.
It hasn't been pretty. But
exactly, a lot of losses, Joe. A lot of losses. Let's be honest. I don't get a lot of losses. I don't take L's. Anyways. Let us know your guys' thoughts. We need to know what Joe's going to do or I'm going to do. A podcast related, whether it be like karaoke, makes a rap, has to, do something. Maybe we can make a video of it. I mean, just be clean. This is a clean show. We're here on Dash Radio. Thank you to our sponsors, FanCaveDFS.com. Also to BrickHouseIndustries.com. Shout out to Ink Prints for their t-shirts. We have a commercial for them coming out soon. They're the ones that helped with all the t-shirts that are coming in next Tuesday. More on them coming real soon. So again, shout out to them. Shout out to our new writer, Kane Pittman. You guys go follow him on Twitter. But before I get to his Twitter handle, Joe, where can the fans find you online?
You can always find me at Sack Sports Morgan.
You guys can follow me on all social media platforms of at VM Center. Follow us on Facebook and on Twitter at Sack Kings Nation. Kane Pittman's Twitter is MKE Buck Sauce, SAUS. You guys look him up. Thank you all so much for listening. Leave a rating, thumbs up, follow, subscribe, share, and until next time, Sacramento Kings fans, bye-bye.